There she goes. 158.
158, folks. That's right.
That's not a bad number. That's a pretty good
158 episodes of The Rebel's Edge, starring Pete Najarian.
Starring.
I am his foil. I didn't say Moyle. For all of our friends of the Jewish faith, I didn't say Moyle. I said foil.
Shaky the Moyle?
Shaky the Moyle, one of the best all-time Seinfeld episodes.
I warned my daughter about that when she had our little boy, my grandson, and they had the guy who comes walking in. I go, just make sure it's not Shaky the Moyle. He cut Seinfeld's hand. And he didn't. It went well.
Good. Thank God.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is The Rebel's Edge, folks. We give you a whole bunch of information. We give it to you relatively quickly. And you can watch it again and again if you need to. Yep. But there we go. It's nothing like having guys drilling in the room next door.
We can't hear it. It's not that bad. I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
Well, we've got Jared, who is handling all of the sound effects, the dancing, the bull and the bear there going at it and so forth. And we appreciate it, Jared.
Way to go,
Let's
Jared.
kick it off today with Macro Minute, Pete.
Yep.
So yesterday, everybody was terribly concerned about macro, and they were terribly concerned about, well, the markets are really struggling here to find some footing because we've still got a debt ceiling debate of sorts. And all it is them just waiting until the last minute, Pete, and seeing who blinks. But anyway, that's my half of the Macro Minute.
Yep, and I can make it short and sweet as well. It's all about the debt ceiling. Everybody knows that. We're kicking it down. We're going to get it down to the 11th hour. We're getting closer and closer to June 1st, by the way. And lastly, I'd say, well, you know what? Outside of that retail sales last week, some of those numbers that we've seen, I think it's getting more and more clear that people are they're putting their hands in their pockets, John. They're going for essentials, but generally they are not buying anything else. And that's becoming a bit of a problem as well.
Well, that is the Macro Minute, folks. We don't waste your whole hour of a show about the markets to talk about that. All right, let's dive into, Pete, as soon as this drilling. I feel like I'm in a dentist's office. But we've got fantastic futures.
Fantastic futures.
Nice.
Well, so Terry, that's your one that you get of that today. Terry Duffy, of course, the CME CEO. Let's go, Pete, into oats. And the reason I'm going to bring it up is just what you said about trading down and people feeling the pinch. Well, oats are down on the year, single digits, but they're down on the year. Now they're up 3% today, but I'm betting there's a lot of people that sell an oat related product that have moved prices up dramatically. And it ain't because of the inputs, folks.
Well, I'm going to go with the dollar, John. And here's why. We are at the highest level of the dollar in, well, the last couple of months at least, going all the way back to mid-March when we were 104 and change. Today, 104 and change. Why is that? Well, when you look at our debt rating, we are now right up there with, well, Mexico. How about that? So people are definitely showing a lot of concern out there. The dollar's going higher. People are getting a lot more adjusted to the uncomfortableness of what's going on in the big macro picture right now because of what's going on with the debt ceiling and so forth. So the dollar's just rocking to the upside.
Well, let's dive into stocks, Pete. And of course, we're both going to love this because Nvidia, NVDA, the stock that's so good, Jim Cramer named his dog after it. That is until it traded down to 130, and then he sort of said, adios. But we've got this stock getting its target raised at Goldman Sachs from 275 to 440. And you know what, folks? We had some unusual activity in there yesterday. Let's show you a little video clip that Jared has queued up for this. Hey folks, John Najarian here. And you know what? Yeah, we had another big winner. Boom. That's right. Nvidia, NVDA. Closed at 305 last night, traded through 400. Bang. You want to get some trades like that? All you got to do is go over to marketrebellion.com/bang. That's marketrebellion.com/bang for trades just like that every day, because that's what we do. Bang. Make sure you check it out. It's a BOGO. Buy one, get one free. So you buy 1 month, you get 1 month free at marketrebellion.com/bang. Go there now. Bang. You know, Pete, it's all that great training I had in the acting school that helped me do those videos.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure. As well as our award-winning cinematographer, Andrew Coffey.
Oh, golly.
Thanks, Andrew. Folks, that NVIDIA trade was one to behold, because they were paying $5 and change for an option that went to 90. How often have you done that, folks?
Yeah. In a day. By the way, John, it's trading at an incredibly high PE, but for the right reasons right now. It's trading up there. You know, forward PE is somewhere close to 60, 65 right now. That's obviously very high. But when you give the kind of guidance that they gave, it was unbelievable. They were looking for 7.2 billion. They gave them 11 billion. So I'll tell you what, John, when you look at what they did for the quarter and what they're expecting for the following quarter, it's going to be very, very interesting. This is a stock that everybody adjusted. Everybody seems like they're raising their price targets, and they're absolutely going to the moon right now for all the right reasons. AI is the thing. We all know that. And if you are the guy at the very foundation of everything AI with these chips, like NVIDIA is, you get a run like we're seeing today. Absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah, it was a fabulous run, folks. And it points to the idea also that truly, when we talk about unusual activity, that unusual activity plays out. Somebody big was buying upside calls, and, you know, they were right.
Yep.
That's why we call it smart money. All right, let's go over to Nutanix, Pete, because this one also a double-digit winner today, enterprise cloud player. And I think this was really notable, Pete, because they reported earnings that were better than expected. Top line climbed about 11% from a year ago figure. And, you know, when you can do that, when you can grow your business like that, because some of these tech stocks have beat lowered guidance. This is one of them that has beat, and they're 11% or double digits above where they were revenue-wise a year ago.
Yeah, I like what they're doing, John. They're doing everything right now. They're up 11% year over year. When you're talking about that revenue, that was very impressive. When you look at the billings up 17%, that's extremely impressive as well. And they're in positive territory when it comes to earnings. A year ago, they lost 5 cents. They were looking for something closer to about 2 cents. They came in with 4 cents. They're making a little bit of money finally. That's good. And this is the space to be, John. When you're talking about that enterprise cloud, we're talking about AI. Those are the areas where we're seeing the growth, and those that are taking advantage of it, like the two names we're just talking about, that's why we're seeing the kind of moves to the upside like we're seeing today. It's unbelievable how strong we are seeing some of the movement in a market that's so difficult with the backdrop of the debt ceiling. And yet we're getting these big pushes, and we're getting a nice big pop for the NASDAQ.
Yeah, when you're getting that, Pete, it's just a thing of beauty. Like we both have said, this isn't beating lowered guidance. This is you growing your business 11%, and not a small business. Some of the idiots on financial news would say, well, the law of large numbers.
Yeah,
that doesn't apply to this, you idiots.
It's a great line.
Nonetheless, yeah, it worked on Apple, didn't it, Pete? Yeah, the law of large numbers, they're a $1 trillion company. Well, now they're 2.3 trillion. Did the law of large numbers hold them back? No. All right.
It's amazing the stupidity of some of the stuff that we've heard over the years, John.
We could write a book on it. Oh, wait, we have. Pete, let's talk about Carl
Oh,
Icahn
boy.
Enterprises, IEP, because it's down 21% today. The guy is hemorrhaging billions, Pete, the way that you and I might hemorrhage $100 bills at a blackjack table. I mean, he is hemorrhaging. The stock is down 61%, which means for the most part, Carl's net worth is plummeting 61% because an awful lot of it's tied up in IEP. And now he's got Ackman, who said, you know what? You stuck the knife in my back, you prick. I'm going to return the favor. How about if I tell everybody that it's really suspicious the way that you try to lure people in for this big fat dividend that you pay in order to get them to buy your stock? I think Hindenburg's right. And by the way, Carl, if you want a friend, buy a dog.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Ackman definitely went after him, John, for the right reasons. Obviously, you just go back a few years ago when there was that big debate going back and forth, and you know, it really wasn't all that interesting even, but it is interesting to some degree to see a couple of billionaires going at each other, and that's what was happening. But you look at this, John, to your point, on May 2nd, Hindenburg came out with this. It's down 60% since then. It's down another 20% today. The stock is right there at the 52-week lows of 18 when it was trading up as high as 55. That was the high end of the last year. Everything seems to be folding up. And I will warn people, when you see a dividend yield that gets up like this to 29%, just think about this. The dividend yield continues to go up as the stock goes down. That's part of the whole numbers game of this whole thing. And that's exactly what's happening here. And that was what Hindenburg was talking about as well as, hey, look, you get this big yield, but how are you getting that yield? And why is this a bit of a, you know, they used this word, not me, but talked about this dividend as part of a Ponzi. So all of that being said, the stock is under some huge pressure. There are some shorts in the stock, John, and so far those shorts have been right.
Just had to unmute myself, Pete, because of that drilling next door.
Don't worry
but it
about the
stopped
drilling. We can't hear
temporarily. Yeah, Pete's exactly right, folks. And believe it or not, we've had unusual activity in this one too. I didn't highlight it because we're trying to keep the show on time, but I will show you next week, folks, that we have had June 35 puts with the stock at 36. Now it's half of that. We had September 25 puts hit just on the 10th of May, and the stock is obviously down around 18, 19 bucks right now. And then we have the June 27 50 puts hit just a couple days ago, the 22nd of May, Pete. So an awful lot of those puts. We'll recap next week when Carl's out there shopping for puppies. All right, let's talk about snow, Pete, because snow is not doing so well. I'd say the investors are being frozen out, but I'm not so good with puns. So instead, I'll just say, when you report first quarter earnings of a loss of 70 cents, when the street is looking for a gain of 5 cents, they're going to punish your stock.
And they're following through with that punishment, John, today. The stock down somewhere close to 18%. They're absolutely hammering it. The stock is somewhere in the middle of this 52-week range, 110 to 205. It was trading 147 last I looked. But, John, here's another part of the problem. We talk about this all the time. It's great to have growth. You want to have growth. We talk about that. But when the growth is starting to slow, and that was what the guidance was here with snow, they talked about, well, the growth rate was around 44%. Now we're expecting it to be a little closer to 34%. Still a big number, but the problem is slowing growth is something that immediately folks hear that, they start to head for the exits, and that's exactly what we're seeing in snow. A lot of pressure to the downside right now, and I don't know if it'll be done just today. I think there's going to be some pressure for a while, John.
I agree. I think Snowflake is a problem right here, Pete. And again, you cannot surprise the street with that kind of number. If they're looking for 5 cents gain, and you're going to, because these didn't just get done yesterday, folks. The quarter has been closed for a while. So if Snowflake knew this, I'm not saying that during the quiet period they could warn, but they sure could have been saying, we think your estimates are just a little on the high side, just a little on the high side. it would have helped. Yeah, the stock would have got hurt that day. It probably would have dropped 3 to 5% is my guess, Pete. But when you tell them on your earnings call that it's a loss of 70 versus 5-cent gain, yeah, you're going to get punished.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk a little sports, Pete. And it's not just about LeBron, because we'd love to just talk about LeBron and how much, the self-proclaimed GOAT has not exactly lived up to billing. But let's instead talk about baseball, Pete.
Yep. And why not talk about the true GOAT? And when I say that, John, I think I really do mean it. I think Ohtani is doing stuff, and we talked about him last week. We probably talked about him the week before, and we're going to talk about him again, because what he's doing right now, John, people should know about. It's kind of like the days of Michael Jordan being in Chicago, right? I was just watching Last Dance last night. Unbelievable. I couldn't stop watching it. I watched 9 episodes in a row. I mean, it was absolutely incredible just to watch this thing. And we lived it. And we got a chance to be around the true GOAT, not some guy who just thinks he's the GOAT and self-proclaimed. This guy was the GOAT, is the GOAT. So I look at Ohtani, and I'll tell you, we've talked about it before, John, but what he's doing in present day baseball is just unbelievable. And he's a dynamic duo. And what I mean by that is he and Trout. Now, Trout is considered one of the best players in baseball, right? Mike Trout's got a huge contract. He hits great, unbelievable hitter. He's got 12 home runs. You know how many Ohtani's got? He's got 12 as well. You know how many Judge's got? He's got 14. These guys are right behind him. Last night, they both hit home runs together. When they do that, they've won 26. It's unbelievable. 26 times they've hit home runs, both of them in the same game. They've always won that game. It's incredible what he's doing. He's also pitched 59 innings this year, John. He's still got an ERA right around 3. I mean, when you look at what this guy is doing in present day sports, you need to highlight it every single week so people understand, hey, look, this guy is special, and nobody else is doing anything close to what this guy is able to do. And I've brought it up before, but you can go back, you can go all the way back, you can go as far back as you want to find anybody even close, and it's still not going to be the same, especially for present day baseball and what these guys have to do and what they're doing. This is an amazing thing, John, and I think people need to start watching Ohtani because it's incredible what he's accomplishing so far.
Yeah, and he's just one of those players you just smile. It's like being joyful, seeing him out there because he's having a good time. So is Trout. I mean, Trout's a 10-time All-Star, Pete, and 3-time American League MVP. So think about that. And just to follow that up, Pete, he hit home run number 362. You accurately said he's hit 12 on the year. Last night was one of the most important because he passed Joe DiMaggio on the all-time list with home run 362. So, wow, that's some pretty special stuff that Mike Trout's delivering. And like you say, I think each of them sort of challenge the other as far as when they both are hitting those home runs in the games and things like that. You've got a just great camaraderie, and whether it's, Duper and Pete, now Marino, Duper and Marino, or whether you go way back in time to Horning and Bart Starr or whatever, sometimes you get 2 special players on a team of great players, and those 2 players make everybody around them better. And I think that's the case here.
Absolutely. Now we're going to jump back down to something we've been talking about for a while, John, and one of them made a new step, and it's the Florida Panthers. Yep, the Florida Panthers. They swept them. The Carolina squad was great all year, but daggone it, these number 8 seeds out of Florida are doing pretty well right now, John. And I'll tell you, absolutely incredible. It was a 4-3 game last night. Bobrovsky, he had another 36 saves. Not so bad. The guy's just been absolutely incredible. He had that game where he saved 63 shots on goal. Unbelievable what they're doing. But the one that's interesting is, can it happen for the Heat tonight? They're going to play at 8:30 tonight. It's going to be on TNT. I advise everybody to watch this game against the Celtics. They lost the last time they were on the court in Miami. And so they're only up 3-1. Can they get the 4th victory? I think they can. And here's why, John. I think Jimmy Butler has proven to be a true, unbelievable player when it comes to pressure. I mean, the guy is a baller. And you and I talk about this all the time. He's not Michael Jordan. I'm not saying that, but he's a guy who steps up when he needs to. He averaged 23 points a game this past year. You know how much he's averaging right now in the playoffs? 30. I mean, he's doing what players do that are the ballers. They go to them. And what he's been able to accomplish with the rest of his team, of course, but Jimmy Butler is the face of the Miami Heat. He is the guy. He's leading them. I love the interviews that he had this past week when they were talking to him about, was he worried about it because they gave up a game already? And he absolutely looked just like Michael Jordan in The Last Dance last night. He looked into the camera and he's like, I'm not worried about anything. We're going to go after him. Now, the problem they had in the game they lost, they were shooting 25% from three-point land. That's not going to get it done. They've got to get a lot better from three-point or they're going to lose again. But I'll tell you what, John, I think Jimmy Butler and that squad is ready to take this thing to the next level.
Yeah, and it's just such an uphill climb. People have come back from 3-zip and 3-1 and so forth. But I think the team, the Heat that is, are just a little bit tougher than some of those teams that have allowed teams back in. Like you said, it was a question of some shots that were, ill-conceived offensive moves and maybe rushing plays a little bit where they didn't need to rush. I think there will be a little more calm on the Miami Heat as well. And I'll be right there with you, Pete. I'm going to be watching it, and I think this is going to be a fabulous wind-up, even though I don't hate the Celtics. I like a lot of their players, but I do think that the Heat can put it away tonight.
Yeah, and the amazing thing is, John, they've already stolen 2 from him in the Garden. They're going back to the Garden. They've got 2. They're going to go for 3. It's going to be a great challenge for them, but I think they can get it done. I think it ends tonight. We'll see.
Folks, it does end for us this week because this is Thursday. And as you know, we only do the show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday right now. So I would encourage you to have a wonderful holiday. Remember what Memorial Day is about. It's not just about a car race. And it's not just about drinking beer and having a good time with your friends, but that's part of it. We would say, Pete and I would say, let's, maybe think about all the benefits that we have being here in this country and some of the sacrifices that people have made, because that's what Memorial Day is about. Are those sacrifices and recognizing that people made those sacrifices. And other than that, folks, tomorrow's going to feel like it's a half day because it is. It's going to feel like that because all of the big players are going to be gone. And Carl Icahn will probably be sitting there crying in his oatmeal. But at least that oatmeal's cheaper than it was. Right, Carl? Anyway, we'll see you on Monday. Well, no, I'm sorry. We won't see you on Monday because that's Memorial Day. We'll see you on Tuesday, folks. Have a good one.